Welcome to MCP, the Multi-Crew Podcast, your go-to destination for everything aviation. From the latest headlines to the quirkiest aviation stories, we'll cover it all. I'm Aiden, and alongside my co-pilot Alfie.
Hello guys, we're going to bring you engaging discussions, technical insights, and a special From Heathrow segment, which I don't actually think is in the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing a Heathrow segment when that was like episode 4. But,
we will cover it though, don't worry.
That's the pain of Control C, Control P.
That is very true, yeah.
Copy and paste.
Because we don't actually put a lot of effort into this, but we just talk about aeroplanes and then...
You guys like it.
Apparently. Okay. Well, I mean, are we the most viewed podcast in the BNU Society?
I believe so, actually.
Ooh.
In terms of overall episodes we do in.
One of our directors.
Our first segment of today is aviation headlines, when we're going to be talking about the X-66. So what is the X-66? Well, it's a Boeing aircraft. So Boeing has paused the development of the X-66, which is a collaboration between Boeing and NASA, which was to make a truss-braced wing-style aircraft. What's truss-based wing aircraft? Well, you know, it's a high-wing aircraft with T-tail. So T-tail rear section. Have a longer span on the wings and a smaller chord, so it'll look like a glider basically. And it'll have a trussed integration. So it'll have like, you know, the Cessna 172s when it has a diagonal connecting from the fuselage to the wing to hold it up. It will have something like that. But instead they're going to focus on improving rate of aircraft production and working towards the 737 MAX 7, MAX 10 and 777-900 entries into service. So improving the production on the MAX 7s and 10s and then bringing the 777 into service.
I can't wait for the 777 to come out. I mean, it's been a while. I think that they're literally just going through the testing now.
Yeah, so it's on one of our previous episodes, we said it had a hold for about a year, and it's now back in fashion, back to testing. So this aircraft is now was meant to have its first test flight in 2028, which is a whole 3 years from today's date. However, Boeing says that will not be the case. It will continue focusing on the fin wing design later down the road, so they are pausing it, not completely axing it.
But as we all know, with Boeing, there's always a bit of a delay, isn't there?
Yeah.
And in this case, there certainly is a delay, which is, I suppose, a bit annoying for the keen aviators out there. Like
keen aviators, yeah.
But
you see, if this would have been a good aircraft, it would have been a step towards electric aircraft. I reckon the likes of DHL would have eaten it up like porridge for breakfast. It could have been an absolutely motivational, suggestional I'm just throwing weird words.
I know you sound like Barack Obama now, giving a really good speech.
Anyway,
Anyway,
not good.
We're going to move on to our next aviation headline, which is about Air India.
There we go, Air India.
Due to recent conflicts between India and Pakistan, Pakistan have closed its airspace for Indian airliners, which have resulted in Air India having to deviate from Pakistan onto its flights to the US, adding time and costs to its operations, further deteriorating its competitive position.
And if there's one thing as an airline you don't want is to deteriorate to your competitive position.
To be honest, I don't know if it would be doing a favour getting rid of Air India.
It's,
You remember on one of the flights where all the toilets other than one was blocked?
Yeah, unfortunately that's quite a common instance, especially on 777s. You're looking at a good 10,
you get
12 bathrooms. That does take some doing to block 10 toilets. It causes that aircraft to have to divert due to the stench.
Could you imagine being the guy, because obviously they fly 777s and 78s, could you imagine being the guy who has to unload the shit off the aeroplane?
That would be a lot.
Yeah.
Like we're talking litres or tonnage. I don't
know.
I don't know what the standard measurement is for the waste removal companies?
Neither do I, to be honest.
I reckon it's tonnage.
I think it's going to
Especially when you're
be tonnage as
talking
well.
like long-haul aircraft, I feel like literage, you'll be in the six figures at that point, so you might as well shorten it down to tonnage.
That is very true.
That then begs the question, what is the cubic volume of 1 tonnage of shit? What is its... Well, we know its weight, but what is actually volume? How many litres is that?
I don't
Because
know,
you know,
but
like,
I think the,
1 litre of water equals 1 kilo. It's specific gravitational value. What is the specific gravitational value?
I'm going to be
shit?
honest, Aiden. I think half the viewers have already fallen asleep, and we've got 7 minutes into the video.
Exactly. So we will now move on.
We're going to move on.
So,
which do you want to do?
So the next story is we're going back to America. QV, Bold Eagles. Boeing secures a £200 billion deal with Qatar Airways. So President Donald Trump has announced this landmark, big boy, big money deal, £200 billion ka-chow agreement between Boeing and Qatar Airways for the purchase of 160 aircraft. Are we sure that's 100% correct? That doesn't sound correct. That's almost each aircraft at above £1 billion.
Well, this is what ChatGPT gave me.
I have a feeling it may be less than that. Anyway, we will pretend that Alfie's research is good. So the deal signed in Doha aims to revalidate and oomph up Boeing as a company amidst its recent challenges, including a significant drop in orders and production setbacks. Additionally, discussions are underway regarding the potential use of the Qatari-owned Boeing 747-8 as a temporary Air Force One, a proposal that has sparked debates over security and legal implications. Now, at the time of filming or recording, Donald Trump has actually accepted said aircraft and has caused outrage to the point where a congressman insulted a journalist. She said, "Do you not think this poses a security risk?" And he said, "Madam, you don't know anything about our intelligence. You're not in the Security Council. You don't know what you're talking about. Please stop."
Wow.
Quote unquote.
Powerful, powerful message.
So, the lesson from today is know what you're talking about before you talk about it.
That is very
As
true.
in, let's make sure next time,
next
for the
time
next
the
episode,
script.
the script is correct, Alfie.
Yeah.
He'll be getting a whipping off screen. Anyway,
Don't worry, Aiden punishes me with a good time. So, right, Qantas and Sydney Airport launch Australia's largest sustainable aviation fuel initiative. Now, this is really cool because obviously, with the environment and everyone in uproars about it because it's going to shit, basically. We need a sustainable aviation fuel, which SAF, which will be able to, prevent the ice caps from melting, the polar bears from dying, all this type of stuff.
and the trees from...
falling. So, what is sustainable aviation fuel, and what is this all about? So, Qantas, in partnership with Sydney Airport and Ampol, I think it is, have initiated Australia's most significant import of sustainable aviation fuel, totalling 1.7 million litres.
What?
That's a lot of litres. I wonder if that's the literage of shit that comes off an aeroplane.
Potentially.
Could be.
Could be.
It depends if me or you have been on one.
Very good question.
This sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, derived from organic sources, is expected to power up to 900 flights between Sydney and Auckland. The initiative undersource effort to decarbonise aviation. They mean regarding the high costs of SAF. So basically, what they're saying is sustainable aviation fuel is extremely expensive compared to its, I'm going to say competitor, just Jet A1 pretty much. Why? Because sustainable aviation fuel is made from plants and stuff like that, which is plants and like oils from plants and stuff. So that's what that is compared to just mining it out of the ground.
Takes longer time to process, refine, integrate, and develop and certify. Hence the increased cost.
And I'm assuming it is the certification, which
Yes.
has got this wrapped around the balls at the moment. But I think it's a big step forward, though, to be honest, because Yeah, albeit we want to be pilots, but it is one of the worst jobs for like a carbon footprint. So at least they're putting steps towards getting it all sorted again, which is kind of cool to be fair. Anyway, we move on to our next section.
So our next section for today's episode is everyone's favourite, it's Aeroplane of the Week. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you a spitting aircraft. It's for one, the only, the Spitfire. Fireworks. Bow, 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 bow. That Rolls-Royce engine kicking off. Well, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the year was 1936. In a world inching towards the chaos of a global conflict, a revolutionary aircraft took to the skies for the very first time. Its name? The Spitfire. Designed by R.J. Mitchell, Supermarine Aviation Works, the Spitfire wasn't just another fighter. It was an elegant fusion of engineering and intuition, a fast, agile, and ahead of its time. Mitchell didn't live to see on the wall, to see if his aircraft helped win the war. But he did, in fact, pass away in 1937. But his legacy lived on in terms of aluminum, oil, and speed.
Indeed.
Not the drug.
With its elliptical wings, a Spitfire looked fast even when standing still. And that iconic wing shape, it wasn't just for show. Oh no. It gave the aircraft a low drag, exceptional maneuverability, making it lethal in a dogfight. The early Mark I Spitfire, powered by the legendary, one of my favourite engines, and Guy Martin also has one, Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. It could hit 362 miles per hour.
How fast?
362 miles per hour.
Wow.
I don't actually know what that is knots, which it probably should be because it's an aeroplane. Anyway, let's get away from that. It's had a service ceiling of 34,000 feet and a range of 400 miles. This is the cool bit. Armed with 8 303 Browning machine guns, it was more than a match for the early Luftwaffe fighters, especially paired with the tactics of the RAF during the Battle of Britain.
Later marks even more ferocious terms. Hispano cannons, increasing firepower dramatically. And by the time the Mark 15 rolled out, it had Rolls-Royce Griffon engines, pushing the speed well past 440 miles an hour. That is 440 miles an hour.
Can we get that again?
That was 440 miles an hour.
And one more time.
440 miles an hour, Alfie. And that's not just fast, that's jet era fast.
I just want to repeat
in a piston engine.
I just want to repeat this phrase. That was 440 miles per hour.
Exactly. And as Nazi Germany launched a retaliatory air assault, the Royal Air Force answer was the Hurricanes and the Spitfires. Though Hurricane handled the bulk of the bomber interceptions, it was the Spitfire that tangled with the elite fighter escorts, the Messerschmitt Bf 109s.
Not a very good one. The Spitfire's agility, speed, and turning tight radius made it a nightmare for the German pilots. British pilots loved it, understandably. In their words, it flew like a dream and fought like a tiger.
That was a certified quote from a Spitfire pilot.
It was, and
confirmed.
that's how I described the PA-28 when flying around, to be honest.
That's it.
Going through the
fought like a tiger.
Yeah, fought like a tiger, going
Yes.
through the Bry zone, fighting off all the typhoons.
Yes.
It's no exaggeration to say the Spitfire became a symbol of resilience. Its elliptical wings etched into the memory of a nation. Over its lifespan, the Spitfire evolved over 24 official marks and countless sub-variants. It became a fighter bomber, reconnaissance aircraft, and even carrier-based fighter known as the Seafire.
Not the
Seaspire.
ceasefire. Ceasefire is something else, bud.
Some versions carried bombs. Others had clipped wings for better roll rates. Some flew deep into enemy territory. Photo recon missions, unarmed and alone. So, this next bit is actually kind of cool because they have one of these at East Midlands at the moment. It is the PR Mark XIX, whatever that is. I don't know. For example,
19.
19, the Mark 19. It was a Griffin-powered speedster. It didn't have any guns, but it was loaded with cameras, and it was so fast and high-flying that it flew that enemies couldn't actually catch it.
So this one at East Midlands, do you know who it's owned by?
Rolls-Royce Heritage.
It is, and I'm not going to be able to get the photo up quick enough, but I have a photo in front of it.
So do I.
Okay, fuck you. Anyway, so yeah, I saw it in its hangar.
Oh, that's cool.
So by the time that the production of this legendary aircraft ceased in 1948, over 20,000 Spitfires had been built. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this section and the making of one of the most productive fighters in history. Good night.
Well, not
Anyway,
good night yet.
Exactly.
Because we've still got...
next bit, questions from the cabin.
Yes, we did. We managed to get quite a few at the moment. And there's a few interesting ones, one of which somebody asked, can a commercial airliner fly with one wing? Well, can it, Aiden?
No, it can't. Anyway, the reason people ask this is because, Hollywood films, they say, oh, it can happen. Yeah, it can't. You're crashing,
rubbish.
Unfortunately.
You are going to go into a spiral and you are going to crash into the ground.
And die.
And die, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's that one myth busted.
Next question.
Why don't they make the whole aeroplane out of black box material?
Well, very good question. How? Why?
Because it's incredibly heavy, expensive, and structurally inappropriate for flight dynamics.
Exactly.
Now, if anyone doesn't know what a black box is, it's basically pretty much a recording of the whole flight within this one box. So if the aeroplane crashes, that thing ain't getting destroyed.
So I have two, the VCR, the voice cockpit recorder, and the other one, which does all the flight data recorder, the FDR. One records what the aircraft is doing at one point in moment and in time, and the other records what the hell's going on in the cockpit. So our next question, can a private Boeing 747 become Air Force One temporarily?
Now, we had this question because, obviously, at the moment, we've got these big headlines, which you mentioned earlier, about the 747-8 from Qatar, yeah. And the answer is technically yes. Any US Air Force aircraft carrying the president is Air Force One, which not a lot of people actually know. And if he's flying in a helicopter, then it's Marine One.
Correct.
And then I don't know what all the other ones are. But security, encryption, and defense systems make this extremely unlikely without major retrofitting. So basically, this was one of the thoughts I had. I thought, well, they're giving the president an aeroplane, but what happens if it's like bugged inside and everything? So
Yes.
they're going to probably strip it completely and then...
Exactly. So obviously, Air Force One's certified and, it's fitted perfectly for the president. There's no way that Qatar could sort this out to his spec. So what Donald Trump said is when the aircraft arrives, it will be totally dismantled inside, swabbed for bugs, and then it will be retrofitted to his standard. But really, at this point, he should have just gone to Kemball Airport and got one from there.
Yeah, because there's enough bloody aeroplanes there at the moment. What is next? Would Qatar ownership of potential Air Force One compromise US sovereignty?
Well, potentially it's, politically sensitive and legally complicated. And, this sort of scenario has raised major red flags in terms of military aviation circles. So at this point, I would say we are not at a place where we can really comment, because it's a very dynamic situation with a lot of stuff that hasn't happened previously.
And also, although there's a lot of media coverage on it, like Aiden said, we don't actually have the information about it. So anyway, on to our next one. What is the weirdest thing ever found in a plane's cargo hold? I thought this was a good question. It was live crocodiles and even disassembled Ferraris have actually been there as well. And coffins, apparently. So quite a few things. And I'm assuming the live crocodiles would be the weirdest thing.
It's up to what you define as weird.
Well, that's true. What do you define as weird, Aiden? I'm going to regret asking this.
Yeah, well, it's up to what we're talking. This is going to be a long conversation. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do planes still dump fuel in midair? Yes. Yes, they do, viewer. But only in an emergency. If it is a controlled high altitude and it evaporates quickly before reaching the ground. The reason this may happen is, let's say, take a scenario. We've got a 787 taken off from Heathrow, inbound to JFK. After departure, runway 27 left at Heathrow, we encounter a single engine failure due to a bird or Alfie parachuting and getting hit by the aircraft.
Yeah.
This causes the aircraft to have to land. However, we've got quite a few tonnage of fuel, about 470 tons of fuel. So we're overweight. One way we can sort this out, if we're in a situation where maybe not a bird strike, maybe a situation where we're fine for a minute. We can get into a hold, put the jettison fuel catch on, beep, and then we start sending fuel onto the ground. But it evaporates before hitting the ground.
If you're lucky, you actually get showered by it as well.
Which has once happened in America.
I remember that.
Yeah. I think it was Delta, but don't fact check me on that.
It probably would have been. And that brings us to the end of our podcast.
Have we not got a flight fact?
We do not have a flight fact question for today. Should we have a look and see?
What Alfie is having a little look for, I would like to talk to you guys about something. At this moment in time, I'm not quite sure what that something is. However, I'm hoping in the time I finish a sentence, I may have thought of, if you double click, that might
You got
help.
your pilot's license.
I got my pilot's license, and it's also my birthday today. Happy birthday, Aiden. I think we've already done that one.
We have.
Yeah.
Let's leave the question for today.
Today
we
you're
don't
not
need to do a
getting one.
question.
Yes, so I finally have got my pilot. Well, I've done my skills test, but only today I have applied for my pilot's license, and it will arrive in about 2 to 3 weeks. So, yeah, so hopefully end of this month I will finally be able to plane in my own capability, I guess.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's also very expensive.
Very expensive, yeah.
I ran out of money.
I've just got to the stage now where I'm on my dual cross country, and yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, dual cross
A lot of
country is
money.
going to be good fun. We're going to have a good debrief when you do that one.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts and feelings about your dual cross country because it's a different step. It's like eating a prune for the first time.
I'm sure it's exactly like
that. It feels
that.
good, but it also feels bad, and you're also like, what the fuck is in my mouth?
Yeah. Or if you're on a diet and you eat a chocolate bar, it feels good, but it shouldn't feel good. Anyway, that brings us to a neat close to our aviation podcast.
And due to the fact we do not have at all a outro, and now we do not even have a final question, I'm even more lost on what to say.
I am. So hit the bell.
Like, subscribe, and share it to your nan.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alfie.
Wrong one. It's
Almost. No.
happy birthday to you. There you go. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So how old are you now?
I am 19 years old, so thank you for watching, and we will catch you in the next episode, where hopefully we're marginally more prepared.
Right on.
Thank you.
Bye.